Saving may or may not come naturally to you, but in this video, I'm going to break down how I started saving, what went right, and what went wrong. There was this time where I thought being frugal meant cutting everything, saying no to every purchase. It made me feel like I was doing money right until it started working against me. What's going on? My name is Mauli Vodi from financiallypresent.com. This is part of my saving series, and I want to break down how I learned to save. You see, growing up, I was a church kid. That meant every Friday night we were in Bible studies. Every Sunday morning I was at church, generally on time. At the age of 12, they basically told a group of me and some other kids that we need to join the choir. And that's how I eventually picked up a djembe drum, just like this. And think about a non-traditional church. This is a group of Ghanaians who immigrated here to the US and formed a social group. And a few of them decided, hey, we can't only just meet socially, we should worship together too. And now at this point, that church is over 40 years old. And I was essentially a member from birth. One of the first financial habits I learned was how to give. Sunday offerings, even if it was, my mom or dad handing me $1 to put in the collection plate, that tiny little task created the muscle memory that I needed. So by the time I was 14 and working, I was already subconsciously tithing and making donations to the church. I didn't realize it at the time, but giving trained me to delay gratification. It created this regular repetition, and eventually it became subconscious. It became a habit, and when I set a goal to save for some shoes that I wanted or save for the PlayStation 2, I could actually do it at that time. And I didn't have a credit card back then, so all I knew was all I had. And looking back, I can actually see why some people are still strongly against credit cards, and it's because they dealt without them. The reason I share this is because I learned to save by learning to give. Looking back at that simple act of giving as a kid shaped the way I see money today. And it's that money is a tool for purpose, not just spending. That shift helped me value saving not as a restriction, but as a reflection of what matters most. And if you want to increase your giving or saving towards a goal, you have to do at least one of these things. You have to delay gratification, make it regular, or let it become subconscious. The best way to do that is automate it. Take the thinking and the hesitation out of it. Just set up an automated transfer from one bank account to another. And to be honest, this same strategy works for investing because for most people, their 401k is their biggest investment account. And that's because it's automatic. The uninterrupted deposits keep growing no matter what's going on in the news, in politics, or in life. And for me personally, I have automation set up for retirement contributions, emergency savings funds, vacation fund, the kids' college funds, Christmas fund, mortgage payment, and life insurance premiums. So all of that is automated. The list goes on. I automate those specifically as much as I can because decision fatigue is real. Life gets busy, and if it's not automated, it can get missed. Automation gives me some level of peace of mind. So let me check in with you real quick. What in your life are you not automating? And are you actually staying on top of it? I ask because there is a slight chance that it could be a point of contention or stress that may not need to be there if you simply automate one of those 7 things that I mentioned earlier. Now let's talk about the 7 mistakes I made. The first mistake I made was being cheap and not frugal. Okay, so cheap people focus on the price. Frugal people, we tend to focus on the value and the price. I used to think buy the cheapest option every time. Furniture that broke. The whole if it's free is for me type of vibe. And every time I replaced things, it was like I spent it more in the long run because I had to buy the same thing twice. I eventually realized I could focus on what matters more and then look at the price. See, the lesson is that frugal is about prioritizing value, not price. So now when I buy something, I ask, will this last? Is it going to serve me well? Another mistake I made was I ignored time and energy. There became this point where, it was about 10 years ago, where I decided it wasn't worth it to just go out of my way to get gas when it was 10, 15, or even 20 cents cheaper. I just knew that I would end up paying more in my time to sit in long lines and drive 15 minutes past the closer gas stations just to get a few cents off per gallon. And if you do the math, even for a car with maybe a 15-gallon tank or even smaller, you're probably only saving $3. In fact, if I paid 50 cents more per gallon on that same tank, I'm only saving $7.50. And you know me, I know plenty of other ways to save money than the gas station. So I don't need to save money in gas every single time. The lesson for me was that time is a resource and frugal people, they value it. Another mistake I made was refusing to invest in tools. I hesitated to buy financial courses or budgeting software or a ticket to a conference. I thought, I'll just figure it out for free. That slowed me down though. And there are times where it's not worth it to sift through every single free YouTube video that's out there. It's worth it to just pay for a service or buy the book or pay for a coaching session, because you're going to get the tools or the tips much quicker, and you can get them directly from that expert, assuming they are an expert. And let's say you pay for it and you don't feel like you got exactly what you needed out of that price, you still learned the lesson either way. So the lesson here is that frugal isn't about never spending, it's about spending wisely, especially on the things that make you better faster. The fourth mistake I made was not budgeting for fun. Fun felt like a luxury that I couldn't afford, and that's because I didn't intentionally set up a plan for it. My reaction to certain events was no, without even really thinking about whether or not I could afford it. And the truth is, there were times where I could afford it, I just wasn't comfortable spending money on that. And sure, a concert or NFL game can be expensive if you first hear the price, but logically, remember that these events happen every year. So you technically can budget something out for it, and that would technically take the edge off. So even something as simple as setting aside $35 each month can get you some really good seats at a concert or good seats at an NFL game once the tickets are announced. The lesson I got from this was that fun is now a budgeted line item for me each month. And if I don't end up spending fun money one month, it's just gonna roll over to the next month. Because at the end of the day, even vaguely planning for fun can avoid the unplanned regret that you'll feel when you don't plan. Another mistake that I made was not talking about money at home. There was this time where I carried the whole financial plan in my head, but I forgot to say something about it. Sometimes we think that if we talk about something once, is the only time that we need to talk about it and we're good. Nope. I mean, most of the time, for almost anything, we need to have multiple conversations. And that's in any relationship, especially if you're in a relationship or a household where one person feels comfortable with credit than the other person. Or one person feels the other person's got it under control so they don't have to worry about it. If you don't loop in your spouse or your significant other, it's going to lead to confusion, tension, misunderstandings, and missed goals. So the lesson I learned was that frugality works better when it's shared. Talk to your family and just get on the same page. Another mistake that I learned was only focusing on saving and not earning. I thought I could just save my way to some type of financial peace, but there is a floor to how much you can actually save. And there's no ceiling on how much you can earn technically. And that's especially if you put the savings to work. Thankfully for me, I learned about investing because I was surrounded by other risk takers in a risk-taking environment, because I was a stockbroker intern before I became a stockbroker. And I already wrestled through this internal battle of should I risk it or should I save it when I was 20 years old. And the best way I can sum it up is, especially in the last 17 years of investing, the older version of you is going to wish that the younger version of you invested a little bit more than you're doing right now. So ask yourself, what skill, side hustle, or opportunity could you lean into right now that could raise your income over time? The lesson I figured from there was be frugal and growth-minded, because you need to invest your income too. And one of the last mistakes that I learned was comparing my frugal journey to other people's lifestyle. Scrolling through social media, seeing friends take trips, buy homes, upgrade their cars, it was easy to feel behind, even when I was actually winning with money. For perspective, I'm someone who started college in 2005. And this is when Facebook really took off. YouTube was really starting to become one of those bigger social media platforms and was becoming a thing. And I eventually would see myself needing to take social media breaks and avoiding the pressure to post every single moment of my life. And the lesson I learned here is that your particular values, mine being quality time, is much bigger than someone else's timeline. So you just have to stay focused. So frugality, it actually changed my life, but it took time to learn how to use it well. And these 7 mistakes that I shared helped me build a version of frugal living that actually works. One that supports joy, family, progress, and peace of mind. And I'd love to know which one of these mistakes actually hit home for you. Just let me know in the comments. And remember, saving is just the beginning, because when it's consistent, aligned, and automated for sure, it becomes a habit that supports your bigger goals. And if you want a system that helps you start saving smarter and saving faster, go ahead and grab your free saving starter kit. The link is in the description below. And until next time, stay present. I'll see you in the next video.